Question 1. With $8 in the non-interest-bearing bank account, we withdraw D dollars every month. That means after M month, we will withdraw M times D dollars. Therefore, after N month, in the account we will have A minus M times D dollars left. Question 2. In this question, we're asked to find out the values of x that makes f of x equals to x squared minus 11 smaller than 25. So x squared minus 11 is smaller than 25, therefore x squared is smaller than 36. So x is between 6 and negative 6. Question 3. In this question, we're given a lot of information, a lot of numbers that might seem dazzling, but it's important to know that there are some numbers that are insignificant in this question. For example, the time, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. and 6-hour period. These numbers does not affect the answers to our question. So with S being the number of small pizzas sold and L being the number of large pizzas sold, we know that S plus L needs to equal to 100, since in the question it says that Joel sold 100 pizzas. And the total revenue, which is 7.5 times S plus 11L, needs to equal to the total revenue, which is 848. So 7.5 S plus 11L equals to 848. So in this case, we have a system of linear equations, and C matches our description. Question 4. In this question, when we solve this equation, meaning we break the brackets on both sides, we have 15 minus 6x equals to 12 minus 6x plus 3. And after simplifying both sides, we have 15 equals to 15, which means no matter what x is, this equation will always be true. So that means that this equation has infinite many solutions. Question 5. In this question, we're asked to find out which year has the greatest percentage increase in the value of investment. So in this data, the value presented are the value at the beginning of that year. So for example, for year 2005 and year 2006, if we want to know the percentage increase in year 2005, we simply find the difference between the beginning value of year 2006 and 2005 and divide it by the value of year 2005. So repeating this procedure, and with the answer shown on the screen, we can see that between year 2006 and year 2007, the percentage increase was the greatest. Question 6. In this question, we're given a graph of time and distance from the school, and we're asked which of the following is not necessarily true. So for option A, it says Hank is riding faster than Bill for the entire 30 minutes. That is true because the slope for the line of Hank is steeper, therefore that means the speed of Hank is obviously faster. So in option B, it says the distance that Hank rode is greater than the distance that Bill rode. Following the previous option, obviously if you have a greater speed with the same time, you will cover a larger distance. Option C says Hank and Bill's path cross exactly once during their 30-minute ride. This is not necessarily true because although these two lines they cross once, that simply means that these two people once had the same distance from them to the school, but that may mean that they're on different paths, and just happens to be that the distance are the same. So they don't actually have to cross. So C is not necessarily true. Question 7, we're asked to find the equivalent of 2x squared minus 8 divided by x squared minus 4x plus 4. So in other words, simplify. So at the numerator, we can factor out 2, which is 2 times x squared minus 4. And in the denominator, we know that x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals to x minus 2 squared. So at the top, we have 2 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. At the bottom, we have x minus 2 squared. Canceling out x minus 2, we have 2 times x plus 2 divided by x minus 2. Question 8. In this question, we're given f of x equals to mx plus b, and we're asked which of the following is true about f of x plus 3 and f of x plus 3. So f of x plus 3 equals to mx plus b plus 3. F of x plus 3 equals to m times x plus 3 plus b, which equals to mx plus 3m plus b. So in this case, we can see that these are two linear functions with the same slope m. So that means there are two parallel lines, which means they do not intersect. So the correct answer is A. Question 9, we're asked how many positive integers x will make f of x have no real value. So in this case, if f of x has no real value, that means the x is outside the domain. So looking at this function, we see a couple of restrictions. At the top, we have square root of x minus 3, and we cannot have a negative number inside a square root, so that means x minus 3 needs to be greater or equal to 0, so x is greater or equal to 3. And at the denominator, we cannot have 0 as our denominator, so x squared minus 8x minus 20 cannot equal to 0. Factoring, we have x minus 10 times x plus 2 cannot equal to 0, so x cannot equal to 10, and x cannot equal to negative 2. So we want to find out how many positive integers that are outside the domain. So x greater or equal to 3, the numbers that are not within this range are 1 and 2, and x also cannot equal to 10. So in this case, we have 3 x's that will make f of x have no real value. Question 10, we're given h of 5 minus x equals x squared plus x plus 1, and we're asked to find out h of 9. So to find out h of 9, we need to know what value of x will make 5 minus x equals to 9. So 5 minus x equals to 9, x equals to negative 4. That means h of 9 equals to h of 5 minus negative 4, which equals to, then we plug in x equals to negative 4 into the equation. We'll have negative 4 squared plus negative 4 plus 1, which is 16 minus 4 plus 1, which equals to 13. Question 11, we're given a white cube with volume 27, and it is said that each face of the cube is drawn with a red circle of radius 1. And we're asked what is the total area of the surface of the cube that is not red. So first we need to find out the dimension of the cube. So cube root of 27 equals to 3, which means each side of the cube has length 3. So the surface area of the cube is that 3 squared times 6, since we have 6 faces on the cube, and that equals to 54. And the total area of the 6 circles drawn equals to 1 squared pi, which is the area of the circle, times 6, since we have 6 circles, which equals to 6 pi. So the area that is not red equals to 54 minus 6 pi. Question 12, we're asked to find out which of the following can be used to determine if a person whose age is Y years old is eligible to attend this camp, which has an age limit of 13 and 19. So Y has to be between 13 and 19. So in this case, we find out the average of 13 and 19, which is 16, and we minus everything in this inequality with 16, then we have Y minus 16 is between 3 and negative 3. So in that case, we can further unsimplify and say the absolute value of y minus 16 is smaller or equal to 3, which matches option D. Question 13, we're given an equilateral triangle ABC and AB being 12 and some other points on the triangle. It says BE equals to 8. We're asked to find out the area of quadrilateral ABED, and we can do that by using the area of ABC minus the area of DEC. So first, since AB is 12, that means BC and AC are all 12. That means CE equals to 12 minus BE, which is 8, equals to 4. And DE equals to 4 square root of 3, since triangle DEC is a 60, 30, 90 right triangle. So triangle DCE equals to 4 times 4 times square root of 3 times 1 over 2, which is 8 square root of 3. And the area of triangle ABC, we know that if a triangle is an equilateral triangle and the side length is supposedly S, we can say that the area of the equilateral triangle is square root of 3 over 4 times s squared. In this case, our s is 12, so triangle ABC is square root of 3 over 4 times 12 squared, which is square root of 3 over 4 times 144 equals to 36 square root of 3. So the area of quadrilateral ABED equals to 36 square root of 3 minus 8 square root of 3 equals to 28 square root of 3. Question 14. In this question, the book is cost $3 and Anne bought the book with a 10% discount off Beth bought the book with a 15% discount off but a 5% tax. So we're asked which of the following statement is true. So first let's find out how much each of them paid in respect to D. So Anne paid the price with a 10% discount, so that's D times 1 minus 10% equals to 0.9D. Beth paid with a 15% discount and a 5% tax, so that's D times 1 minus 15% times 1 plus 5%, which is D times 0.85 times 1.05, which is 0.89D. In this case, comparing to both, 0.9D is bigger than 0.89D, so Anne paid more, so the answer is B. Question 15. This question tells us that y equals to ax plus b and x equals to cy plus d are parallel. So in this case, first line is y equals to ax plus b, therefore the slope is a. The second line, we want to change it into the slope-intercept form, so we have y equals to x over c minus d over c. So the second line has slope 1 over c. Since two lines are parallel, the slopes are the same, so a equals to 1 over c. For question 16, we're given 3 points A, B, and C on the plane. It says AB is the diameter of a circle and BC is the diameter of another circle. It's asking what is the slope of the line that goes through the centers of the two circles. So over here, it's important to realize that the midpoint of any diameter is the center of the circle. So we can find the center of circle 1, which is the midpoint of point A and B, which is 1 plus 5 over 2, and 1 plus 3 over 2, which is 3 and 2. The same method goes for the second circle, so we're finding the center of the circle by finding the midpoint of points B and C, which is 5 plus 5 over 2 and 3 plus 9 over 2, which is 5 and 6. So we have the two centers, so now we find the slope of the 2 points, which is 6 minus 2 over 5 minus 3 equals to 4 over 2, which is 2. Question 17. With a times x minus y equals to b times y minus x, we're asked to find the ratio of x over y. So breaking up the brackets, we have ax minus ay equals to by minus bx. Moving all the x's on one side, all the y's on the other side, we have ax plus bx equals to by plus ay. Factoring, we have a plus b times x equals to a plus b times y. And cancelling out a plus b on both sides, we have x equals to y, so the ratio of x over y equals to 1. Question 18. It says c is a real number and 1 plus I is a solution of the equation x squared minus 2x plus c equals to 0. We're asked to find the value of c. So for this type of question, we simply need to work the solution backwards. We have x equals to 1 plus I. Moving 1 to the other side, we have x minus 1 equals to I. Squaring both sides, we have x minus 1 squared equals to negative 1. Then x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals to negative 1, and x squared minus 2x plus 2 equals to 0. Matching this with the equation that they give us, we know that c equals to 2. For question 19, it says A, B, C, D are the 2 points of intersection of y equals to x and y equals to x squared minus 6x plus 12. We're asked to find A plus B plus C plus D. So in this case, we need to find out the intersection. So x equals to x squared minus 6x plus 12. X squared minus 7x plus 12 equals to 0. Factoring, we have x minus 4 times x minus 3 equals to 0. So x equals to 4 or 3. So when x equals to 4, y equals to 4. X equals to 3, y equals to 3. So AB is 4, 4, CD is 3, 3. So A plus B plus C plus D equals to 14. Question 20. It says h of 5 minus 2x equals the square root of x squared plus 3x plus 5. We're asked to find h of 3. So first we need to find out what value of x will make 5 minus 2x equals to 3. So 5 minus 2x equals to 3, 2x equals to 2, and x equals to 1. So to find out h of 3, we simply need to plug in x equals to 1 into the equation. So h of 5 minus 2 times 1 equals the square root of 1 squared plus 3 plus 5 equals the square root of 9, which equals to 3. Question 1. If Wally Widget Works is open exactly 20 days each month and produce 80 widgets each day when it's open, how many years will it take to produce 96,000 widgets? So each month it can produce 20 times 80 equals to 1,600 widgets. So 96,000 divided by 1,600 equals to 60 months, which equals to 5 years. Question 2. We're asked to find the volume of a cube who has a surface area of 216 square inches. So suppose the cube has side length s, then the surface area equals to 6 times s squared, and that equals to 216. So s squared equals to 36, s equals to 6, and the volume, which equals to 6 cubed, equals to 216. Question 3 says if 2 minus 3n is bigger or equal to 5, we're asked to find the greatest possible value of 2 plus 3n. So 2 minus 3n is greater or equal to 5, that means negative 3n is greater or equal to 3. So 3n is then smaller or equal to negative 3. Note that when we multiply both sides of the inequality with the negative number, we need to switch the direction of the inequality sign. So 2 plus 3n is smaller or equal to negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1. So the greatest possible value is negative 1. Question 4. In this question, we're asked which of the following statement about the equation 2x squared minus 3 over 5 minus x squared equals to negative 2 is true. So when solving this, we multiply both sides with 5 minus x squared, then we have 2x squared minus 3 equals to negative 2 times 5 minus x squared. So 2x squared minus 3 equals to negative 10 plus 2x squared. So cancelling out the 2x squared, we have negative 3 equals to negative 10, which means no matter what x is, this equal sign will never be true. In other words, there is no such an x that can make the equal sign valid. So the equation has no solutions. Question 5. F of x is x squared minus 3x and g of x is f of 3x. We're asked to find g of negative 10. So g of x equals to 3x squared minus 3 times 3x equals to 9x squared minus 9x. So g of negative 10 equals to 9 times negative 10 squared minus 9 times negative 10, which is 900 plus 90 equals to 990. Question 6, we're asked to find the average of students per class with the given chart, which is 20 plus 30 plus 23 plus 27 plus 25 divided by 5, which equals to 125 divided by 5 equals to 25. Question 7. We're asked which class has the highest percent of students in the math. So for class A, we have 5 over 20 equals to 25%. Class B, we have 7 over 30, which is roughly 23.34%. Class D, we have 6 over 27, which is roughly 22.23%. And Class E, we have 6 over 25, which is 24%. So comparing the four, we see that Class A has the highest percentage of 25%. Question 8. In a class, 20 children were sharing equally the cost of a present for the teacher, and then 4 of the children decided not to contribute, then each of the other child needs to pay $1.5. We're asked how much did the present cost. So suppose the present cost X dollars, so the original average cost was X over 20. After 4 students dropped out, the new average cost is X over 16. So the difference between these two average costs is 1.5. So x over 16 minus x over 20 equals to 1.5. Multiplying both sides with 80, we have 5x minus 4x equals to 120. So x equals to 120. Question 9. In this question, we have a circle x squared plus y squared equals to 90 and a parabola y equals to negative x squared. The intersections are points A, B, and C, D. We're asked to find the value of A plus B plus C plus D. So y equals to negative x squared, then we can change it to x squared equals to negative y and substitute x squared as negative y into the circle. So we have negative y plus y squared equals to 90, and we have y squared minus y minus 90 equals to 0, y minus 10, y plus 9 equals to 0, y equals to 10, and negative 9. And obviously in this case, if we look at the graph, y equals to 10 is not possible since the intersections are in quadrant 3 and 4, and if y equals to 10, then it's all the way up there at the positive sections. So y can only be negative 9. So when y is negative 9, x squared equals to 9 and x equals to plus or minus 3. So the intersections are 3, negative 9 and negative 3, negative 9. So those will be A, B, C, and D. So A plus B plus C plus D equals to negative 18. Question 10. With the figure, we're asked to find cosine C. So to find cosine C, we need to know the value of the length BC. So BC, according to Pythagoras theorem, equals to 10 squared minus 6 squared and the square root of that, which equals to 8. So cosine C equals to BC over AC, which is 8 over 10, which equals to 0.8. Question 11. In this question, we have 3 items: a bouquet of flowers, a box of candy, and a ring. The question says the flowers cost 3 times as much as the candy, and the ring costs 10 times as much as the flowers and candy combined. We're asked to find out how much the flowers are. So suppose the flowers cost X dollars, so the candy will be X over 3. The ring will be 10 times the sum of the previous 2 items, which is X plus X over 3, and that will become 40 over 3 times X. All of these items cost in total 528, so X plus X over 3 plus 40 over 3 times X equals to 528. Simplifying, we have 44X over 3 equals to 528, and X equals to 36. Question 12. In this question, we have 2 gears, G1 and G2. G1 has 48 teeth and turns clockwise at a rate of 60 rotations per second. And the question says if gear 2 has 36 teeth, which of the following is true? And all the following are about the rotations per second of gear 2. So if gear 1 is turning clockwise, that means gear 2 must be turning counterclockwise. The teeth ratio is 48 to 36, which is 4 to 3. The speed ratio is then the opposite of the teeth ratio, which makes it 3 to 4. And to match that with gear 1 with a rate of 60 rotations per second, we amplify that to make it 60 to 80. So gear 2 turns counterclockwise at a rate of 80 rotations per second. Question 13. With the given graph, and ask us approximately what percent of the money spent on tickets was turned to the purchases in the form of prize money. So first you need to find out the amount of prize money, which is the difference between the total ticket sales and the proceeds. That will be 35.5 minus 12 equals 23.5. So we want to find the percentage of 23.5 over 35, which is roughly around 66%. Question 14. In this question, we're asked what percentage of the general fund will be transferred into the senior program in order to make the cities and the senior program have the same amount of funds. So from the graph, we know that the cities program has 1.6 billion of funds and the senior program has 0.7 billion of funds. In this case, to balance, we need to add 1.6 minus 0.7, which is 0.9 billion to the senior program for it to become the same as the cities program. So we need to move 0.9 billion out of the total of 2.9 billion in the general fund, and the percentage is 0.9 over 2.9, which is roughly 0.3103, which is pretty much 31%. Question 15, it tells us that in the year 2010, Lotto was discontinued and the sales of all other games increased by 10%. We're asked what is the degree of measurement of the central angle of the sector representing the instant games in year 2010. So first we need to find out the new total, which is the original total 35.5. Since Lotto is discontinued, so we need to take out the 10 billion of Lotto, so 35.5 minus 10, and after that the amount will increase by 10%, so times 1.1, which is 28.05. For the new instant game, the original was 14.2 and also increased by 10%, so 14.2 times 1.1 equals to 15.62. So the central angle will be 15.62 over 28.05 times 360 degrees, which is roughly around 200 degrees. Question 16, it says Alice's gross salary is $9 an hour for the first 40 hours and $15 an hour for each hour she works in excess of 40 hours. And net pay equals to the gross pay minus the deduction of a flat fee of $20 and 8% of her gross salary for payroll tax and 50% of her gross pay for withholding tax. So we're asked to find the expression of the net pay where she works more than 40 hours. So gross pay equals to 9 times 40, which is the amount of money she'll get in the first 40 hours, plus x minus 40, which is the extra hours that she worked, times 15, and that will be the total amount of gross pay. Simplifying, we have 360 plus 15x minus 600, which equals to 15x minus 240. The total tax percentage is 8% for payroll tax and 50% of withholding tax. So that's 8% plus 15% equals to 23% in total. So the net pay is then 1 minus 23% times 15x minus 240 minus the $20 flat fee. And that will be 0.77 times 15x minus 240 minus 20. Question 17, we're asked to find the equality of 1 plus I to the power of 3. So 1 plus I to the power of 3 equals to 1 cubed plus 3 times 1 times I plus 3 times 1 times I squared plus I cubed equals to 1 plus 3I minus 3 minus I, which equals to negative 2 plus 2I. Question 18, it says the x-intercepts of y equals to 4x squared minus x plus 3 are a and b. We're asked to find a plus b. That is equal of asking us to find the sum of the roots for the equation for x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals to 0. So when we have an equation for x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals to 0, a plus b, which is the sum of the roots, equals to negative, bracket negative 8 over 4, which equals to 2. Question 19, we're asked to find the difference in the degree measurement of the central angle of the sector representing Brent C and the central angle of the sector representing Brent D. So to do that, simply find the difference between the percentage of Brent C, which is 12%, and Brent D, which is 7%, and multiply that with 360 degrees. That would be 360 times 12% minus 7%, which equals to 360 times 5% equals to 18 degrees. Question 20 says that in year 2005, the total sale is 50% higher than it was in year 2000, and for Brent A, it was 25% higher than it was in year 2000. So it's asking the sales of Brent A accounted for what percentage of the total sales in 2005. So to find the new total, we have the total of year 2000 times 1 plus 50%, which is 1 million times 1.5, which is 1,500,000. Brent A in 2005 equals to the amount of Brent A in year 2000 times 1 plus 25%, which is 1 million times 40% times 1.25, which is 500,000. So the percentage is 500,000 divided by 1,500,000, which is roughly 33.33%. Question 21. In this question, we're asked to find the difference between the store 1 and store 2 in the dollar value of the total sale in the 3 brands of DVD players. So to find that, we need to multiply the number of DVD players sold of each brand with its corresponding price. So for store 1, it will be Brand A 10 times 80, Brand 2 20 times 100, Brand C 20 times 150, and that will equal to 5,800. Do the same thing for store 2. For Brand A 30 times 50, Brand B 40 times 80, Brand C 20 times 120, and the total is 7,100. The difference is 7,100 minus 5,800 equals to 1,300. For question 22, we're asked to find the area of the triangular face of the solid provided. So we can see that the triangular face is an isosceles triangle. That means if I draw the height from B to the base, the height will be perpendicular to the base and it will bisect the base. The height will then split the triangle into 2 right triangles. In this case, we can see from the miniature graph that each side there is a right triangle with hypotenuse 10 and height and 8 as their legs. In this case, we can see that the height equals to 6. So the area equals to 16 times 6 times 1 over 2 equals to 48. Question 23. It tells us that the density is 3 pounds per cubic foot. the weight is 360 pounds. We're asked to find the width of the solid. So the volume equals to the triangular base times the width, which is 48 times W equals to 48W. Density equals to mass divided by volume, which is 360 over 48W equals to 3. So to solve for W, W equals to 360 over 144 equals to 2.5. Question 24. In this question we'll have two equilateral triangles. The area of triangle ABC is 6 and area of triangle DEF is 10. In this question we're asked to find the nearest hundredth of the ratio of AB to DE. Since the two triangles are both equilateral, we can say that the two triangles are similar to each other. The area ratio is 6 to 10. That means the side ratio is square root of 6 to square root of 10, which is square root of 6 over square root of 10, and throwing that into the calculator, it's roughly around 0.77. Question 25. If g of x equals to sine x plus cosine x squared, what is g of pi over 3? So simply plug in pi over 3 into the equation. We have g of pi over 3 equals to sine pi over 3 plus cosine pi over 3 squared, which is equal to square root of 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2 squared, and plug that into the calculator. This is roughly equal to 1.866. Question 26 is asking us which year has the smallest total acreage of farmland. So to do that, we're given the graph of size of average farm and the number of farms. So to find the total acreage of each year, we need to multiply the average with the number. So for year 1940, we have 174 multiplied by 6.3, which is roughly around 1,096 million. For year 1970, we have 374 times 2.9, which is roughly around 1,085 million. And for year 2000, we have 436 times 2.2, which is roughly around 959 million. And for year 2010, we have 418 times 2.2, which is roughly around 990 million. So comparing the four, we see that for year 2000, it is the smallest. Question 27, we're given the total arcs of farmland in Texas, Montana, Kansas, Nevada, and New Mexico. And they are 130, 61, 46, 46, and 43 respectively. We're asked to find the percentage of those 5 states accounted for of the total in year 2010. So in the previous question, we see that in year 2010, the total acreage was 919. And the total of these 5 states were 130 plus 61 plus 46 plus 46 plus 43 equals to 326. So the percentage is 326 over 919, which is roughly around 0.3547, which is roughly around 35%. For question 28, it says if future projections are that the number of farms in the US will decrease by 5% from 2010 to 2030, and the average size of farms will decrease from 2010 to 2030 by the same percentage as the decrease from 1990 to 2010. We're asked to find which of the following is closest to the total number of arcs of farmland in the US in year 2030. To solve this question, we need several steps. First step is to find out the number of farms in year 2030, which is 5% less than 2010. So that will be 2.2 times 1 minus 5%, which is 2.2 times 95%, which is 2.09. Second step, we need to find out the decrease of farm size from 1990 to 2010, which is 418 minus 460 over 460, which is roughly around negative 9%. So it will decrease by 9%, which according to the question will be the decrease in percentage from 2010 to 2030. So the farm size in 2030 is 418 times 1 minus 9%, which is 418 times 91%, and that is 380.38. So the total area of farms will be 380.38 times 2.09, which is 794.9942, which is very close to 800. Question 29, we're asked to find the value of I to the power of 75 minus negative I to the power of 75. So we know that I equals to square root of negative 1, I squared equals to negative 1, I cubed equals to negative I, and I to the power of 4 equals to 1. This is a cycle. every 4 powers it will be a cycle. So 75 divided by 4 equals to 18 with the remainder 3. That means I to the power of 75 equals to I to the power of 3, which is negative I. And negative I to the power of 75 equals to, we can take negative out since it's an odd power. So it's negative times I to the power of 75, which is negative I cubed, which is negative I equals to I. So I to the power of 75 minus negative I to the power of 75 equals to negative I minus I equals to negative 2I. Question 30, in parallelogram ABCD, each side measures 10 and angle A is 45. We're asked to find the area of the parallelogram. So we drew a little diagram, and although this is a parallelogram, it says that each side is 10, so this is in fact a rhombus, and angle A is 45 degrees. So according to the diagram, sine A, which is sine 45, equals to square root of 2 over 2, and that equals to h over 10. So h is roughly 7.07. Then the area of parallelogram is base times height, which is 10 times 7.07, which is 70.7. Question 31, on a map of Long Island, 1 inch represents 20 miles. A person drove for 1.25 inches on the map with an average speed of 40. We're asked to find the amount of time that he drove. So first we need to find out how long it is in the real distance. Since 1 inch equals to 20 miles, then 1 inch to 20 miles needs to equal to 1.25 inch to x miles, with x being the actual distance that the person drove. And to solve that, we see that x equals to 25 miles. With speed equals the distance over time, and speed being 40 miles per hour, we have 40 equals to 25 over t, and t equals to 25 over 40 hours, which is 5 over 8 hours. This question is asking us for minutes, so we need to change 5 over 8 hours into minutes, which is 5 over 8 times 60, and that equals to 37.5 minutes. Question 32. Michelle participated in a 26-mile marathon that proceeded along a straight road. For the first 20 miles, she ran at a constant pace, and at some point she passed a friend who was standing on the side cheering her on. 54 minutes and 36 seconds later, Michelle passed the 12-mile marker, and 31 minutes and 30 seconds after that, she passed the 15-mile marker. We're asked to find the distance from the starting line to her friend. So for the information, we can first find out her speed. From 12 to 15 miles, there are 3 miles, and the time spent was 31 minutes and 30 seconds, which is 31.5 seconds. So speed, which equals the distance over time, equals to 3 over 31.5, which is 1 over 10.5, which means that for every 1 mile she needs 10.5 minutes. And 54 minutes and 36 seconds, that is 54.6 minutes. So the distance from the 12-mile mark to her friend is time spent times the speed, which is 54.6 times 1 over 10.5, which is roughly around 5.2. So what we're looking for is 12 minus 5.2 equals to 6.8. Question 33, we're asked to find the average monthly salary of all the employees. So the total is 12 times 3,100 plus 24 times 3,800 plus 14 times 4,200. And to find the average, we need to divide that with the number of employees, which is 12 plus 24 plus 14, and that gives us 3,744. Question 34, we're asked to find how many different PICs can be assigned. So to form a PIC, there are 2 ways, which are 2 letters and 1 number, or 1 letter and 2 numbers. So for the 2 letters and 1 number, it will be 26 times 26 times 9, since there are 26 alphabets, and the numbers that we can use are from 1 to 9. And for 1 letter and 2 alphabet will be 26 times 9 times 9. So throw all that into the calculator. We have 6,084 plus 2,106, and that will be 8,190. Question 35, we have 2 pyramids, one with a rectangular base, and the rectangular base has length 3 and width 2. For the second pyramid, we have a square base with side length 3. It says the volumes are equal. We're asked to find the ratio of height. So the volume of a pyramid can be calculated by 1 over 3 times base times height. So pyramid 1 equals to 1 over 3 times base, which is 3 times 2 times height of the pyramid. Let's call it h1, and that equals to 2h1. For pyramid 2, it's the same idea. The volume is 1 over 3 times 3 times 3 times height 2, which is 3 times h2. So the volumes are the same, so 2h1 equals to 3h2, so h1 to h2 equals to 3 to 2, which is 3 over 2. Question 36 says, on October 20th, 2015, one United States dollar is worth 0.88 euros and one Canadian dollar is worth 0.68 euros. On that date, what is the number of Canadian dollars that could be purchased for 100 US dollars? So we need to figure out both currencies in euros. So 1 US dollar was equal to 0.88 euros. That means 1 over 0.88 US dollars equals to 1 euros. And 1 Canadian dollars equals to 0.68 euros. That means 1 over 0.68 Canadian dollars equals to 1 euros. So 1 euro equals to 1 euro. That means 1 over 0.88 US dollars equals to 1 over 0.68 Canadian dollars. So 1 US dollar equals to 0.88 over 0.68 Canadian dollars. So 100 US dollars equals to 0.88 over 0.68 times 100 Canadian dollars, and that is roughly 129.41, and put that into the closest integer, that will be 129 Canadian dollars. For question 37 and 38, the description are as followed. Every day to go to work, Ed drives 6.3 miles between exits 17 and 18 on Route 91, always at a constant rate of 60 miles per hour. At 60 miles per hour, Ed's car can go 24.3 miles per gallon of gasoline. At 70 miles per hour, Ed's car can go 20.8 miles per gallon of gasoline. Question 37. How much less time in seconds would it take Ed to drive those 6.3 miles at 70 miles per hour instead of 60 miles per hour? So time equals to distance over speed. So the time spent using 70 miles per hour equals to 6.3 over 70. And the time spent on the 60 mile per hour is 6.3 over 60 hours. So the difference in time is 6.3 over 60 minus 6.3 over 70, which is in the calculator 0.105 minus 0.09, and that equals to 0.015 hour, and we need to change that into seconds. So 0.015 times 60, which equals to 54 seconds. Question 38. Last year, Ed drove the 6.3 mile from exit 17 to exit 18 a total of 240 times, always at 60 miles per hour. If during the year he paid an average of 3.5 per gallon of gasoline, how much more would it have cost him if he had driven at 70 miles per hour each day? So the total distance that he drove was 6.3 times 240, which is 1,512 miles. So the gallons that he will be using if he drove 60 miles per hour will be 1,512 divided by 24.3, which is roughly around 62.2 gallons. And the gallons that he will be using if he drove 70 miles per hour is 1,512 divided by 20.8, which is roughly around 72.69 gallons. So find the difference in the amount of gallons used times the price of each gallon, and that will be 72.69 minus 62.2 times 3.5, and that is equal to 36.715, and rounded to the nearest dollar, that will be $37.